Hey guys, welcome back. So today we're going to talk about an AK that's gotten a lot of attention in social media lately. But we're going to start off talking about the classic because we are the Military Arms channel. The rifle you see here in front of me is an old import rifle from Yugoslavia. And no, I don't mean Serbia, I mean Yugoslavia. And this one isn't even imported by Mitchell Arms. This one is imported by ZCZ American Arms out of Kansas City, Missouri. So this is a very early import of a Yugo AK-47. This one obviously has some differences from the actual military rifle. Has this big thick grip, which was kind of a trademark of the early import Yugo rifles. It has a rubber butt pad on it. It has a non-chrome lined barrel. It has night sights. You have a front flip up night sight there. And then you have tritium inserts on your rear sight that are just embedded in there. You don't have to flip the sight over or anything. They're just always there. And the guns were known to be of extremely high quality, and this rifle is. I mean, this thing's simply beautifully made. The Yugos are kind of distinctive in their look, not just because of this pistol grip, but they have the longer wooden hand guards with the 3 vent holes in them. And it's just a beautiful example of a Yugo rifle. You'll also notice it has the bulged receiver, the the RPK style receiver, the reinforced bulged receiver. And it has the push button for disassembly, so you have to push the button to push in the rear of the recoil spring guide rod so you can take the top cover off. So it's just a really, really cool rifle. Not many of them out there for sale anymore. They're on the collector's market now because they haven't been imported for a very long time. But Zastava USA is importing a version of this rifle that's made in Serbia now because Yugoslavia no longer exists. And this rifle, as I mentioned, has no chrome-lined bore, but the new Zastava imports are coming in with chrome-lined bores because that's what the American market wants. The Yugos in their military service didn't chrome line their bores either, so this wasn't done just for the civilian rifle. The Yugoslavian military rifles did not have chrome lined bores either. The Yugoslavian army also used brass cased ammunition that looks very similar to the S&B, but here I'll show you. Looked very similar to this, and you used to be able to get it on the surplus market. It was mildly corrosive, but this would look more like what the Yugoslavian military would have used back in the day. But I'll be shooting primarily Wolf or Bernoulli ammunition out of it today. The S&B has given a similar performance that we've seen before, which is bad. All right, so let's load this old girl up with 20 rounds of Wolf and do a little shooting with her. Then let's take a look at this new Zastava rifle that's causing quite a stir out there in social media and see how it compares to the original Yugoslavian made guns. You'll notice it locked open on the last shot fired. That's a function of Yugoslavian magazines. When you pull the magazine out, the bolt will close. And this is the actual magazine out of the new rifle, but my old Yugo mags had this capability as well. And so that's another distinctive feature of the Yugo/Serbian rifles. Okay, so we've taken a look at this. Let's grab the Zastava rifle and take a look at it really quick. We would like to thank our friends at Big Daddy Unlimited for helping to make this and other videos possible. If you'd like to help us out, swing by the BDU website, and just for 99 cents, you can try out their service for 1 month. And they're basically like the Sam's Club of the online world, so check them out. If you would like to stay a member, go by militaryarms.org. There's a big link right at the top of the website, and you can stay a member for 20% off every month going forward. So please check them out. So in tribute to my good friend Grand Thumb, where he likes to start from the tip and work his way to the butt, we're going to start in the way that women shouldn't wipe, which is from the rear to the front. So we're going to start off with the rear of the rifles, and you're going to notice that they're different. Okay, we have a different grain structure to the wood, and we also have a more AKM style stock on the new Zastava. versus the original Yugoslavian rifle. This one's thicker, bulkier, has a higher cheek comb, and many people find this to be uncomfortable to fire, to whack them in the cheek. You'll also notice it has this rubber butt pad, and here we have a steel butt pad on the new Zastava. You'll notice there's a sling swivel here, and there isn't one here, and that's because on the original rifles, it was on the left-hand side of the receiver. Coming forward, you're going to find what this little thing is here is the opposite side of the push button release or lock for the top cover for disassembly. Both rifles have that. The Zastava has this wooden grip, which is different than what the original rifles would have had, which would be a polymer grip like this, which you can pick up from Apex gun parts. And the same is true, and it would fit on this rifle as well, with the early import Yugo rifles. This is a commercial grip, much like this is a commercial grip. Here we have selector levers, very similar, but you'll notice this one has the modern notch in it for locking the bolt manually to the rear to show safe. This is an American thing, and they've included that on the newer rifles. You'll notice the trigger has a different profile. This one's much thicker on the original gun, much thinner here. So the fire control units are a little bit different. We have pretty much the exact same mag release paddle, same profile. Moving up, we have the stop for the selector lever on both guns. We have fire and safe prominently engraved on both firearms. And then we have the in the white bolt and carrier, dimpled receiver, bulged receiver as well, RPK style for reinforcements. You'll notice here on the barrel pins, both are recessed on both sides of the gun. I noticed in my video when I showed my RPK, early import, which is a Mitchell Arms RPK, people said, "What's up with that barrel pin?" Well, they're not flush mounted. They're recessed on both sides of the gun, and that's normal for the guns of the period. But you'll also notice on the new Zastava guns that barrel pin is pushed past flush on both sides, so it's kind of mirroring the original design. Coming forward, we have the same takedown levers. The sights are the same. They're in the white. The font's changed on them, but it's in the white, graduated out to 1,000 meters, same on both. What you're not going to find on this one, however, are night sights. This one does not have the night sights of the original Yugo import, and that'll be true of the front sight when we get to it as well. Just to remind you guys, there's that night sight on this rifle. You can see the tritium inserts on either side of the V-notch. Coming forward, different grain structure, but we retain that 3-slot ventilation on the wood handguards. They kind of taper like the originals. The gas blocks, everything look identical. And we move all the way out to the front gas block. I'm sorry, not the front sight block. And you'll notice again, this one has the facilities for that flip-up night sight. This one does not. As a matter of fact, it just has a big hollow area there where that night sight functionality would be if it were included. So it looks like they're using the same tooling. It's just they're leaving some of the features out of the original military design. Another key difference between the two rifles, I mentioned this one does not have a chrome line bore. That was true for the Yugoslavian military at the time. They claimed that their barrel technology was such that it didn't require the use of chrome lining. The early Zastava guns that came into the country also did not have chrome line bores. These are new rifles that have chrome line bores for the American market. Americans want chrome lining. A lot of people think that it's for use with corrosive ammunition, and that's not really the case. It's not why chrome was developed to be used in bores of rifles. The Germans developed the technology in World War II with cold hammer forging and chrome lining to extend the life of machine gun barrels. That's why the military uses chrome, to extend the life of the firearms barrel. And as a byproduct of that, you may have a little bit more corrosion resistance, but if you truly wanted to make the gun corrosion resistant with chrome, you'd have to chrome the entire internals of the gun, because that gas from the AK gets blown through the entire action of the gun. No, it's there to increase barrel life. The downside is it makes the gun typically less accurate because chrome plating, unless done meticulously with modern technology, and it's absolutely perfect, it has a tendency to reduce accuracy to a degree. Not always, but generally speaking. So, and another byproduct of it is it makes it easier for the grunt to clean the barrel. Now, No military out there really cares about how hard a grunt has to clean the barrel of their rifle, but that's a byproduct of it. With a chrome lined barrel, it's a little bit easier to clean. So I'm not going to say that's a bad feature. It's kind of cool they put it in there. That means Zastava is listening to the US consumer market and giving them what they want. If we take a look at the rivets on this gun look okay. They're pretty good. Well, there's one rivet on this gun that is that's boogered up. It's going to hold just fine, but it has a heavy crease on one side, and you see where the tool was used to actually damage the receiver, mark the finish. But that rivet's going to hold just fine. Even on this gun, I can see at least one rivet that wasn't pressed perfectly. So, you know, that happens. And while I have the gun on this side, it's worth noting that this one has an accessory rail, whereas the original imports did not. This is a proprietary rail. This is an RS Regulate mount for a standard AKM, and it just doesn't go over far enough. It should go further forward. So RS Regulate, Midwest Industries, companies like that do make mounts for this particular style of mount for the Serbian guns. Here's where the sling swivel again is on the original import versus back here on the AKM style stock of the new Zastava USA import. So both sights graduated to 1,000 meters. No night sights on the new gun, and that's pretty much it. Other than that, they definitely, you can see the lineage between the two. You can definitely see that they've continued on with the tradition of the old Yugoslavian guns into the new Zastava USA manufactured imported firearms. Yeah, so those hits are pretty easy to score. Now we are using the Barnaul ammunition. We found that the Barnaul typically gives us better accuracy, like markedly better accuracy than Wolf, Golden Tiger, and especially than S&B. And we have some videos out there showing that. We shoot an awful lot of 7.62 by 39, and by far Barnaul seems to be our favorite. So yeah, the rifle shoots really, really good. This lower cheek comb makes it much more comfortable to shoot. I actually like the feel of the wood grip, even though it's not a military grip. I don't think I'm going to swap it out. At first I thought I was. I think I'm going to leave it just the way it is. I like the way this gun shoots. Yeah. And it's very competitively priced compared to the other guns on the market. Even the Arsenals are right around the $1,100 mark, and this thing coming in right around the $900 mark, maybe sometimes a little bit less. I don't think you can really go wrong with it. But this is a sample set of one. Excluding Arsenal AKs, which are good AKs, I have several, but they come and go on the US market, and mostly they're gone. They'll get a shipment in, they'll sell out very quickly, they'll go to gun broker, and people will pay crazy amounts of money for them. I think we transferred one through Copper for a customer who paid like $2,800 for one. Yeah, so excluding those, which are good quality imports, here are your other two most common imports right now that are selling very well. This one is a paratrooper. This is a Wasser 10, but I picked this one up because it's a little bit different. It's not a military configuration. It has kind of a Draco front end looking on it with the gas block, with the integrated front sight, all that stuff, and has a bird cage on the end, 16-inch barrel. But back here, it's pretty much straight up Wasser 10, and then this one has the paratrooper side folding stock on it, which is, on this one, it's pretty funny. It looks pretty straight when it's folded, but when you extend it on this rifle, gotta hit the button to release it. This thing is about as cockeyed gets. This whole stock is twisted. It even makes it awkward to shoulder. It is the most goofy, it's bad. So bad I went out and bought a stock to replace it. So you have about $819 into a gun like this, and then I had to spend another $100 to get a stock that's straight. The actual arm on this one is straight, but if you look down on it, you'll notice the butt plate is canted to one side. So the Romanians really are just all over the place in quality. Matter of fact, if you look straight down the front of this rifle, you're going to see that everything is twisted and contorted. This is not even remotely straight. But by an act of God, the front sight pin is centered and it's zeroed without having to drift the front sight one way or the other. My last Wasser 10 I picked up, I had to drive that thing all the way over to the right like I did on this one. But considering these things range from $899 to $850 on the market, and these things are in the $800 price range, you take a look at the quality of the two, I would definitely opt for the Zastava. These things, I've never seen one that was straight. This is one of the few I've actually seen I didn't have to radically adjust the sights on, but still looking down it, you can see the whole thing's just twisted and contorted, so much so that if I were to use the elevation markers on this to try to elevate out to range, it's going to radically shift my zero. So what I've done is zeroed it to its combat setting, and then I'll just use holds out to 250, 300 yards and never really shoot it past that. This does have a chrome lined bore on it, but if you take a look at the fit and finish of the two guns, you're going to see the Zastava definitely has a leg up in terms of overall fit and finish and quality. It's also worth noting the wood that Century Arms is putting on these things. It has about the consistency of balsa wood. I know it's not balsa wood, but it's very easily damaged. It looks pretty, but it's not good quality wood. And this one has, you can see where they've, Century Arms has hollowed out. They convert them from single stack to double stack magazines here in the United States. This one has magazine problems. And yeah, so some mags it works well with. P mags fit extremely tight, and when they're full, it can be really hard to pull the charging handle to the rear on them. But other magazines seem to work okay, so this one is more mag picky than what this one appears to be. So this is kind of what you get on the current U.S. import market, and now you're looking at USA-made AKs like PSA and Riley Defense and companies like that. So we'll maybe do a comparison video between USA, the better of the USA-made AKs, and compare them to some of the imports in a future video. While I pointed out that my front sight was drifted to the right, guys, that's perfectly normal. And I've said that before. That is not some reason to send the gun back to Zastava to have it fixed. I mean, every AK, Arsenals, Segas, every AK I've ever owned required some adjustment, and sometimes it's one way or the other. It's just normal. If the gun can be zeroed, it's perfectly serviceable, and you just got to live with it. It's just not that big of a deal. So I wanted to point that out, because I've said that before in other videos, especially when I was talking about my Wasser 10 recently. So I also wanted to point out the fact that originally Century Arms had imported these rifles, and they were in a slightly different configuration. And keep in mind, Century's, and I get this from other people in the industry, so I've been told that Century, when they go in, they negotiate to import guns. For them, price is very important. So they try to get the company to reduce their price as much as they possibly can, so when they come to the US market, they can sell the guns for a very low price. But in doing that, you sacrifice quality many times, and you sacrifice features many times. And I know that Zastava and Century had a falling out, thus that's why Zastava USA exists, and that's why you're seeing a rifle like this. Now I know previously the guns that were imported by Century a few years ago, I would say I wouldn't buy one because heat treating can be off on the receivers. I've seen problems with that. Rob Ski had pointed out problems with the early guns. I'm not seeing that in the current crop of guns. What I'm seeing is Zastava listening to the US market and making improvements, and they're selling the guns for a price that reflects those changes. So now you're looking at a gun that's closer to $1,000. It's $850 to $900. But for that, I think you're getting a better rifle than what was imported 5 years ago or so. So that's just my opinion based on my observations of, again, one sample set. But I will say, today I've been very impressed. We took some temperature readings after doing some mag dumps with the gun. I got the wood up to over 140 degrees, a little over 140 degrees. Oil wasn't seeping out of it and getting sticky. I mean, it really seems like they've done a nice job on the gun. I also wanted to show you guys I have a Nogo gauge, and these are used in manufacturing to make sure that the rifle's within headspace. And I'm just going to quickly show you here really quick. Now, I'm not doing it by taking the bolt completely apart. I understand that. It's my tool, and I get the fact that, oh, you're not supposed to do that, and everybody wants to be a gunsmith on the internet. So I've put it in there. I let the bolt close, and it does have a hold of the case, and you can see it's not closing on the Nogo gauge. So the gun is in headspace, and we've seen no evidence that. You gotta kind of tap it out there. The gun is in headspace, which is a good sign. So I couldn't resist. I took my wooden grip off and I put an old Yugo grip on there. I think it kind of makes the gun look better. I couldn't resist. I had it, so what the heck, I stuck it on there. Using the existing screw, didn't require me to get a different screw or anything like that. Just pop the old one off, put this one on. You can find these things on Apex Gun Parts or Gun Broker, places like that. The grips are fairly readily available. All right, let's do a little bit more shooting with this bad guy. I'm just burning off the S&B ammo because I'm not gonna buy any more of it. I've had really bad luck with it. And when I say I've had bad luck with it, not in reliability, it's been perfectly reliable. It's just probably the least accurate 7.62 by 39 I've ever used. If I miss it 200 or 150, it's not my fault. It's just because this ammo literally groups at 100 yards at like 6 inches. See that? Another one. Three misses at 150 yards. If I was shooting Barnul, it would be shooting a nice little group. As a matter of fact, we shot about a 3-inch group with the Barnul at 100 yards out of this rifle. So, overall impressions of the gun. Again, this is the latest version being imported by Zastava USA with the chrome line barrel, bulged trunion, all that good stuff. I'm impressed. Sample set of 1. You know, maybe if I had 10 rifles, I could nitpick it more, but I've tried to find reasons to nitpick it, and really there's nothing I can really nitpick it on. The gun is beautifully built. It's holding up just fine. It has good accuracy with the right ammunition. It's been reliable. We've had 0 malfunctions with any of the ammunition, which is Wolf, S&B, and Barnul that we've shot out here today with it. We've shot probably about 500 rounds. I'm going to continue to shoot it. I'm going to order a side rail for this, put a red dot sight on it. This rifle went from just kind of, I wanted to compare it to the original to, I'm actually enjoy shooting the gun quite a bit. It's a very pleasant rifle to shoot. This gun was not given to me by Zastava. This gun is it was purchased by me. I actually got it through Prepper's Gun Shop. So, you know, this isn't some sort of paid ad or some shilling video. We don't do that here at the Military Arms Channel. All right, guys, so if you'd like to support us at the Military Arms Channel so we can continue to bring you as unbiased information as humanly possible, that can only be done by your support. We are demonetized here on YouTube, and we rely on you, our viewing audience, to support us on places like Patreon. And for Patreon, we have a link in the description below. Give that link a click and consider becoming part of our Patreon family. Also, right here on YouTube, just underneath the video player, there's a little join button. Click that join button and consider supporting us right here on YouTube. And last but not least, guys, swing by and check out coppercustom.com. Thanks for 12 years of support, and we'll talk to you guys soon.